So I have discovered another one. Develop your cybersecurity skills and knowledge with these cool projects. Here we go.
Develop your cybersecurity skills and knowledge with these cool projects. Cybersecurity is a vast and complex field, and it can be difficult to know where to start if you're interested in getting into it.
Yes, there are a lot of different things about cyber, and they are even changing to this day. It's some other things that I write and talk about, how we need to change even more. So if you're just now getting into the field, there is a chance by the time you become, a full-fledged engineer, it could be evolving again. So that's a good thing. You need a mindset for that.
However, there are some great projects you can do to develop your skills and knowledge in the area. In this blog post, we'll explore some interesting cybersecurity projects that you can use to practice your skills and broaden your understanding of the field.
Having a broad understanding of the field is good. What is going to be most critical if you are a person trying to break into the field is ensuring that you have a specialty. Deciding what that specialty is and making sure that you prioritize that over anything else will give you the best chance at capitalizing on luck, because that's really what life is about. Opportunity, preparation, and luck. You need that luck. Give yourself the best chance for it.
Whether you're interested in pentesting, AppSec, cloud security, blue teaming, or malware analysis, there are plenty of opportunities to learn and grow in the world of cybersecurity. So, let's take a look at some cool projects you can do to develop your cybersecurity skills. Pentesting. First things first, cybersecurity is not just pentest. Most guides, courses, and labs will focus on the penetration side of things. It's a sexy area, and everyone would like to be a hacker as shown in Hollywood movies, but if it's not for you, don't feel pressured to practice it. Focus in what you like.
Just a slight correction, right? From my perspective, as someone that's been in the field for quite a while, a pen tester is not a hacker, right? A hacker is a mindset. A pen tester is somebody that accomplishes those hacking goals, typically through, if you're working at a company, open box, open source methods. If you are not working at a company and you're a bug bounty, you're typically accomplishing these goals using web application security, right? So you're discovering things and then you're writing them up.
Okay, so you want to be a penetration tester. Begin with the basics and study how the most popular attacks function. Try them out on purposefully vulnerable systems like WebGoat, DVWA, and Metasploitable. When you're ready, move on to more challenging CTFs such as Hack the Box, complex vulnerable cloud environments like Flaw.cloud, and KubeGoat for Kubernetes.
Okay, so within this even paragraph here, there's different types of pen testing and fields that you can specialize in, even within specializing within pen testing. Okay, so at this point, you have to know, like, it's important for me to know what my passion, so that when I get confused or I don't know what the next step is, I can always refer back to that. So for me, when I was an operator, my passion was post-exploitation. So if I tried to do everything, I would always try to tie it back to what happens after I land on a target. So with WebGoat, DVWA, Metasploitable, those are good to learn. Kind of cut your teeth. CTFs like Hack the Box and what was the other one? Try Hack Me. Those are great for web application pen testing. Flaw.cloud sounds cool. I'll have to check that out. And KubeGoat, you're moving into the cloud. DevSecOps, like dev pen testing kind of route. So just understand, like if you move towards the cloud stuff, you're typically going to be hacking APIs. If you're staying with things like Hack the Box, you may be more focused on web application. So it's good to have understanding of both of those, but I do recommend you pick at least one and just really hone in on that one.
For Kubernetes. At this stage, you're probably quite skilled at a position in the field, but if you want something,
I would digress. You're quite skilled at being a generalist for pen testing. It's important to understand what your own standing is. And I say that so that as a person, you know what you need to do to get better. If you're trying to be the best at everything, you're going to slowly become okay at a lot of things, but not great at one thing.
Something bigger, consider developing your own settings and breaking them with new exploits or attempting to figure out how a patch addressed a vulnerability. Please be advised that the act of hacking live systems /websites /applications is considered a crime and you may be fined or imprisoned, but some organizations do have a bug bounty program, which you should read carefully before attempting anything. Application security.
Yeah, so with the bug bounty program, you have to generally be accepted. I know Hack the Box has I think it's Synac Red Team.
Security. To get started in AppSec, you should first understand how web applications work and the common vulnerabilities that exist in them.
Okay, so AppSec, just the difference between pen testing and AppSec. AppSec, it could potentially be more of an architectural role, depending on what kind of company you go to. So with pen test, that's just a general field. I have a web application or API. I'm going to try to break it. Application security is going to be something a little bit more specific. It's reading code, it's going through, it's trying to pen test the application as much as you can without actually ever touching a keyboard.
A great way to learn about these things is by looking at a WASP Top 10. Once you have a good understanding of the risks involved in web application development, you can start playing with some tools and scenarios. This is a variant of pen testing that focuses more on the application side of things. To begin, get the Web Application Hacker's Handbook, old but still relevant.
Agree. It's old, but it's still relevant. It's a good, any old hand in the pen testing field will tell you to get it. It's a huge book. Good luck.
Relevant, and learn about the major hacks and vulnerabilities. There are some scenarios in there you may also use to practice. Now that you know how to analyze code, the next challenge may be finding or creating
You're not going to know how to analyze code. That is a specific skill in and of itself. Just because you read the Web Application Hacker's Handbook, there's a little bit of a draw the rest of the owl going on here. Analyzing code is going to be hard because not all code is the same. You should understand the general methodologies to walk through code, but even then, I do recommend continuing to develop practice. You're going to need a lot of practice for it.
Vulnerable samples and exploiting them, then correcting the problem. Go to the project after you've gotten really good at it and do your best scanning your code/app with SAST, DAST, and SCA tools to get the vulnerabilities discovered. Cloud. Start deploying.
Now, some people think that SAST, DAST are going to supplant an AppSec person. It doesn't. SAST, which is Static Application Security, and DAST, Dynamic Application Security, those are just going to get rid of all the BS that you don't need to find. Typically, by the time an AppSec person is looking for vulnerabilities after SAST and DAST, we're looking for misconfigurations that the developers did. So at this point, we are essentially exploiting the mind of the developer.
Cloud. Start deploying basic infrastructure on your chosen cloud. Cloud providers, for example, AWS, have several labs and lessons where you can practice as you go. Learn how to deploy components using the native solution, Terraform, and API. Take a look at CIS and CSA standards for cloud security.
I agree with all this. AWS is great. It has a bunch of free resources. They publish everything. So if you like to read, learn how to take notes, and you can do all the AWS stuff on your own.
Security. Learn how flaws and misconfigurations occur, and try to repair them. Be careful about putting vulnerable stuff on the internet. Most clouds provide a free tier where you can use most services for free.
Yes.
Blue team. Is defending your main concern? If you want to build on a defensive foundation, you may replicate any of the above projects, but instead of going for exploitation, go for adding monitoring tools like IDS/IPS, endpoint protection, telemetry, and SRE tooling so that all alarms are sent to a SIEM/source.
To do this on your own, a person is going to need to have a substantial lab. Now you can do this with things like Security Onion. It seems cool. Blue team mindset is very different. I would be terrible as a blue teamer. It's very much we're going to follow something from the beginning all the way to the very end, and then we're going to close it out. Whereas adversarial hacker mindset is kind of a shiny thing. You may not be focusing on exploitation as the main method of telling a story, but you can still, as a blue teamer, exploit the mistakes of an adversary.
Oh, learn how to deploy. It's a bit of a risk, but you might as well spin up a honeypot and study the attacks that come into it. Malware/forensics/reversing. There are a plethora of cracking problems on the internet, so get all of the tools you'll need and attempt to solve them once you've learned the basics. You may also attempt to breach old and simple software. IP protection laws might apply here. Be cautious. Spin up a virtual machine and test an old malware when you're ready.
Just as a general aside, anytime you're doing a CTF and you got a password, you just go to like crack a password if you find something. If that thing doesn't crack within 5 minutes, you're doing it wrong. So I've seen some people, they spin up a cracking rig and they're like, yeah, we're trying to crack this, whatever. CTFs generally aren't built like that unless you're in this like major one. It'll crack within 5 minutes, or that's not the method, or you don't have the right key for it.
More information regarding forensics can be found on the internet, as well as network dumps that can be analyzed in order to figure out what occurred. Cybersecurity is a field full of possibilities, and the best way to learn is by doing. Use the knowledge you have to try and solve problems in creative ways. This will help you understand the concepts better and give you a competitive advantage when applying for jobs or conducting research. It's important to find an area of focus and
Yes, creativity is good. Being specialized and being able to bring something to the team is even better. Develop your creativity once you've already secured the bag, right? Like pick something, become good at that, get your foot in the door, then work on your creativity and your soft skills.
It's important to find an area of focus and try to get really good at it before moving on to other topics.
Yes.
The key is to keep learning and practicing as much as possible. There are plenty of resources available online, so make use of them. Don't be afraid to ask for help when you're stuck. There are plenty of resources and people who are willing to help out. Finally, have fun and enjoy the challenge. Thanks for reading. Develop your cyber.
That last part may be the most important thing about this entire article. Finally, have fun and enjoy the challenge. A growth mindset will get a person further in life than any sort of book or anything that they can read. So yes, everything that a person does needs to be seen as an opportunity to be better. But yeah, thank you, Mr. David. I appreciate you putting yourself out there and writing and trying to help people, and that's what I'm trying to do too. So